Guess who's Bizak?
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? 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 Guess who's back?
Heard you missed us, we're back!
Yep, they're back.
You're back!
We are back!
And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. With your hosts, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice. This is the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, and welcome one and all to a very special episode 304, the NFL Draft 2015 edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam, the show made up of Seahawk fans from around the world, just like you, talking about your Seattle Seahawks. Over the next few moments we share together, we hope that you are entertained and enlightened as we discuss your NFC champion Seattle Seahawks. So sit back, relax, grab a desired beverage or center your choice, and remember, if you feel a little drafty, get a jacket. As is the usual with every show, we are not alone. No, I am joined like I am every episode by the 12th Man Fan Jam Posse, a ragtag group of die-hard Seahawk fans from around the world. First up is from the wonderful, lovely state of Washington, our very own newshound. His 12th Man editorials can be found on the SeahawksSal.com website. He is our own draft day steal, so to speak. You know him as Shadowhawk, and we know him as Will. Hi, Will.
Hey, Moses. Have we really done 304 episodes?
304. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it seems like only yesterday we were just starting.
It's our third season. It's our fourth show of the third season. That's where that comes from. And if you're a fan, I know you're a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's how they did it.
Oh, push the button, Moses.
Push the button, Frank. All right. Also, we have a very special guest this evening in our guest chair. Also from the state of Washington, longtime listener, first-time panelist. He is the one, he is the only, Tom Lucas. Hi, Tom.
Howdy, Moses.
How are you, Tom? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Having a lot of fun already.
The fun has just begun, my friend. It has just begun. And the kids, I want to tell you, the kids are glad you're here. Kids, wake up. The kids are sleeping right now. We have to wake them up. Kids, Tom is here to join us. All right. The kids are here.
Loved.
Unfortunately, right now, join us later in the show. Anyway, the intros have been made, so let's get to it. For those who've listened before, thank you for joining us. For those listening for the first time, don't worry. We promise we'll be gentle, but be careful. Mel Kiper may undervalue you. The show is run just like a real NFL football game. We have 4 quarters and even a halftime. In the first quarter, Will shares the NFL news with us. In the second quarter, we're going to get to know Tom Lucas a little bit more. We're going to have a little interview with Tom and why he's a Seahawk fan. At halftime is another rousing rendition of the 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia, the Seahawk-based trivia game that you, the listener and viewer, can play along with as well. Can Shadowhawk Will defend his title? Will, did you win last time?
Yepers.
2 in a row for Will. Can he be defeated by the newcomer? We will see. Quarter 3 is the Seahawks schedule. We'll talk about the schedule, the 8 home games, the 8 road games that make up the Seahawks schedule, the good, the bad, and the ugly about the Seahawks schedule. And, of course, we'll wrap it up the fourth quarter with our draft needs. What do the Seahawks need on draft day? We'll talk a little bit about that. And then Will and I will go head-to-head in a very special Dueling Mock Draft special that we'll have at the end of the fourth quarter. You don't want to miss that. Not only that, we also have a short 60-second rant by Shadowhawk between first and second quarter, and a very special 60-second interview between yours truly, Moses, and John Gruden between the third and fourth quarters. You don't want to miss that interview. But before we start, we'd like to remind you, we want you to like, share, and subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Contact us on this thread or in the comment section of this video, or feedback or email us at 12thmanfanjam@gmail.com. Tell us what you think. We're also on Twitter at Seahawk Positivity. And please join our Facebook group, 12th Man Fan Jam Show. Lots of fun Seahawk discussion, picks, and lots of good stuff there. All of our shows and outtakes as well are posted. Come on in, join the fun. But before we start the show, before we go to news in the first quarter, our pregame, I'd like to give just a couple shout-outs.
Hey, can I do a shout out? Shout out.
Yes, shout-outs. 12th Man Fan Jam shout-outs, and we'll make this brief and quick. This is where we like to acknowledge some people that are going through some things that we know that are Seahawk fans, or just congratulate some people. And so the first one I'd like to talk about is Brian and Paula Lowry. They're Midwestern Seahawkers, and Paula has been going through a long, hard battle with illness. And we are pulling for Paula and Brian both, and we're certainly hoping she has a full recovery very soon. So, Brian and Paula, if you're listening, we're pulling for you here in a 12th Man Fan Jam, and we wish you the very best. Also, to Stacy Coombs, some good news. Stacy Coombs, who proudly proclaimed this week, she's a Seahawk fan, but also proudly proclaimed this week that she's currently cancer-free after a recent treatment. Congrats to Stacy, and here's to a long, healthy, full life, cancer-free, and couldn't be happier for you. Two personal shout-outs. I'd like to shout out to my daughter, Mosette. She had a play last night here in Indiana, and she had dressed up as a tomboy, and she decided to choose my Super Bowl champion hat and her 12 jersey as her character costume. So she sat front row center with this jersey on in Indiana. It was pretty awesome. And finally, for little Mo, for dressing up on career day as a Seahawk player, and also for asking to wear my Seahawk tie because, and I quote, "I want to grow up and be daddy just like you." So both of them, mind you, in Indiana. But before we go to the first quarter, that's it for shout-outs. We have a very special announcement to make. Yes, he has returned from merry old England. The one, the only. From merry old England, Matt is here.
Good
Matt,
morning.
good
Morning,
morning.
everybody. Hello.
Good morning. How are you this evening?
This morning, I'm very well, thank you very much. Very well, very well
Yes.
indeed.
Yes. I'm glad to hear it. Welcome to the show.
We should call him
Good.
the late, great Matt.
Well, we should do shows in my time zones and see how you guys get on.
I agree. I do not disagree with that.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, I would tell you before the show, Will's going, well, it's like I can do this show and then I can go out and have a good time afterwards because there's still plenty of time left for me. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I know you are even worse, so.
Yeah.
You'll
But I'm
seeing
here,
it
I'm
later.
here.
Yeah, welcome.
It's odd,
welcome.
though. Do you know what? Everything was fine up until about 20 past 2 and 2 in the morning, and then suddenly I'm like, I'm asleep.
Well, it's been a while since we've had a show, so you have
Yeah,
to
this
get back
gaps.
in that mode.
Gotta get back into the flow, man. Gotta get back in the.
Sleeping at 2:20? What were you thinking, man?
Really?
I know, shocking. That's what happens when you get towards 40. The
He
whole
said
world
flow.
just stops.
He said
Wait
flow.
to get past it.
Yeah, really. Amen to that. Well, speaking of get past it, we are past it. Everyone's here. We're going to have a great show this evening. We're going to start off the first quarter with news. Yes, news around the NFL world brought to you by our own Shadowhawk Will while you were too busy getting your draft magazines and getting ready for the upcoming NFL draft. Anything you missed, will catch you up on what's going on. What you got for us, Will?
Well, Moses, I have some good news to start off with.
Yay!
Chip Kelly is not insane.
Hey,
You
kids!
sure about that?
Chip Kelly, not insane.
Well, Moses, don't take my word for it. Take Chip Kelly's replacement at University of Oregon, Coach Mark Helfrich. In the wake of Kelly's decision to sign Tim Tebow to a one-year contract, Helfrich was asked about his thoughts on the signing and about the Eagles' offseason as a whole. Helfrich said he didn't really know, and that it was exciting for the media. But he had a better retort for anyone who would question his former boss's sanity. I think it's unfortunate I've had to answer this question more than once. Chip Kelly is not insane. He's got a plan. He's got a method. Vegas, on the other hand, is not very confident in Kelly's method, given that Tim Tebow is officially a 5-2 underdog to even make the roster.
But so he had a plan. So did a lot of crazy people, Tom.
I was going to say, Charles Manson had a plan, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And a method. So,
And a menu.
Just exactly. Just because you've got a plan and a method does not make you not wacko.
You agree, Tom?
Yeah, I can hear.
Do you agree that crazy people can have plans too?
Oh, absolutely. Look at me. Look at you. Jeez. Come on.
Well
Well
done.
said.
Tom fires out of the gate.
And he hits Moses. Well done.
Ah, well done. Well done. Crazy
You
people
know,
can have.
Maddie, there's a lot we can be said about you as well, my friend.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
I wrote most of it. It's true.
man, he came out firing.
Yeah.
Tom just jumping right in there. That's what he's doing. That's awesome. We love that. Hey, Will, what else you got for us besides proving that Chip Kelly is not insane because a coach in Oregon said so?
Well, I've got a story about a Dolphins defender who's trying to make a little money in the offseason.
Flipper?
God.
Why no, actually. It's actually defensive tackle A.J. Francis, who you probably haven't heard of since he's been on injured reserve with a knee injury for a while. But probably as a result of this, he's looking to get some extra cash. And so he said on Twitter this week that he's applied to become an Uber driver this offseason.
Oh,
It
dear
would be a
God.
cool way to get some extra cash, he said, via the
Like
New
he
York
needs
Daily
it?
News. I've always worked odd jobs. I mowed lawns in summer and shoveled snow in the winter. I got a
Aw.
job in a deli cutting meat. I was a bouncer in a nightclub at college. So if you're having Uber pick you up in the Miami area and your driver looks really, really big, be sure to ask for an autograph.
Can I just say, this is great. This is like saying, I'm such a super, I cut grass, I rake up leaves, I collect old people from hospitals and take them wherever I need to go. And I'm an occasional player on a football team called the Miami Dolphins, which is next to nobody, and nobody's heard of them. It's like, it's like, this is a superstar, man. You got to be proud of what you do. But I mean, good for him. I actually signed up to Uber in London. I signed up to Uber in London this weekend. Yeah, it's amazing. Little man who spoke no English whatsoever, picked us up and took us around. It was fantastic.
I would pronounce it, but I've given a hard time when I pronounce things. So this is German,
I
so I
think-
may be okay. Yeah. Das Uber. It's Das Uber.
Yeah, it's not French, Moses. You may actually have a chance.
Das Uber.
I thought you were going to say it gives me a hard on. I thought that's what you were going to say. What you were gonna say.
I'm
Oh,
not
my
excited
God.
about
I was like,
Uber.
my goodness, just because it's German.
Isn't that what
What have we
Fartfanugan is?
learned today?
Wow.
You want to know.
Woo!
And here
Hey.
comes the Oregon.
Yeah.
Oh, he's fitting right in.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
Okay, I'm going to take the high road here because the guy
Uh-oh.
is. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything like. In a related note, there are other side jobs being taken by other players. And I'm not going to say something like, Manziel decided to be a wine taster this summer.
Oh.
And I'm definitely not going to say Adrian Peterson's opening a daycare. I'm just not going to do it. I am
Don't
not.
go there.
Don't forget
Oh.
about Greg Hardy joining the MMA.
Oh, Lord. We did not go there. So I will
Don't go
take the
there.
high road, and I'll say congratulations on making a few extra bucks on Uber. Whatever, I guess he needs the money. I don't know. But have you ever used Uber, Tom?
No.
No, neither have I. Uber scares me. Strangers are going to pick me up and drive me around town? I'm not
Sure.
sure.
Wrong card.
Have you ever gotten into a cab before? That's a hell of a lot scarier.
I was going to say, surely that's the same thing.
Yeah, but where you can have some one of those 1980s panel vans pull up. Yeah, looking at you real funny. Nah.
Or a big white van with, free candy for kids on the side. Come on in, I'll give you a ride downtown. No, I don't think so. Uber scares
Strange
me
folks.
because people care.
Some strange folks in Indiana. I'm just going to put it out there.
That's an understatement. Don't even get me started on how strange Indiana is.
Except this guy's in Miami, so that
Yeah.
But there's lots of strange folks down in Florida too.
Man, that's crazy. What else you got for us, Will?
Well, Moses, would you say that the NFL has a lot of clout these days?
I would say they have a fair amount of clout. Yes, I would. Clout is something that the NFL has.
Well, it's probably good to be reminded that they're not the only person out there or organization out there with a lot of clout. As the NFL was preparing its schedule, which was unveiled this past Tuesday, they got a call from Philadelphia Archbishop Charles J. Chaput. He sent a letter to the league office asking them not to give the Eagles a home game in Week 3, since Pope Francis would be holding a mass that week that's expected to draw 2 million people in Philadelphia. NFL Senior Vice President of Broadcasting Howard Katz replied that, okay, We will not give the Eagles a home game in Week 3, and in fact,
Does
they're on the
anybody
road.
show up at an Eagles home game?
Well, Katz said later, yes, the Pope did influence the NFL schedule. My name may be Katz, but I wasn't taking any chances.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? Okay, at quarterback now for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the Pope.
I see him as more of a possession receiver.
Oh,
Maybe a slot guy, somebody you bring in on third down.
That's
something
pretty
like that.
good. That's pretty good. That's worth one of those. Matt, are you excited that the Pope is going to be in Philadelphia?
Not excited in the slightest that the Pope is going to be anywhere near Philadelphia or anywhere else for that matter. I can't imagine what impact did they think it was going to have. What, the fact that the bishop couldn't go to the game because he would have to be getting the Pope's ring somewhere else. I mean, what was the problem?
Well, I don't know where he's preaching at, so if that's fairly close to Lincoln Financial Field, and you got an extra 2 million people coming in.
Hey, I've got to tell you, the Eagles need all the help they can get. So if you can get 2 million people praying, next door to your stadium, you should do it.
I think the dude should do halftime. Comes out of halftime.
Well,
It's
if any
halftime,
fan
14-10.
base needs some.
And now,
forgiveness,
ladies
it's
and
probably the
gentlemen,
Eagles.
the Pope. And, everybody, little blessing, fight song. They come marching out the marching band. He's got a little Pope mobile waving to people wearing a little. He's got like the big Pope hat that's like green and got like an eagle on the front or something. Comes out, waves to everybody, tosses flags.
Moses,
Yeah,
He's got to come out.
I feel compelled to point out that this is the city that booed Santa Claus. Do you really want to put the Pope in front of all those people?
Yes,
that's true. That's a good. Yeah, yes.
We didn't ask you, Matt.
Well, here's the thing. And he also has like one of those bazooka guns that shoots shirts into the audience as he's driving by.
that'd be
He's
rosaries instead.
Yes. Oh my God, green rosaries, and he's shooting them in the air, and that'd be awesome. And then you could have the Philly fanatic driving.
This is why Moses is not put in charge of events at the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Or anywhere else.
God, what an image we just set up for our audience.
Is he going to be singing Katy Perry? That's the thing. He wants to come out and I want to hear you pray. He's got to do the full Katy Perry dance routine, and I want him in a white bikini and everything. It'd be hilarious.
He's going retro. Papa Don't Preach Madonna. Come on. That's what he's going to do.
I have to admit, though, there have been several football games where I've kind of needed to drive to church afterwards and say, God, please forgive me for everything I've said the last 3 hours.
Yeah, amen to that. And on that religious note, I think we will end the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
Will, thank you so much for the news. As usual, it was fantastic start to the show.
Anytime, Moses.
Awesome. Coming up next quarter, we are going to talk a little bit to Tom, get to know Tom a little bit better. He's had a great start to the show, so we'll get to know Tom Lucas a little bit better here in the second quarter. We're going to take a brief station identification, and we will be right back after this.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. And now it's time for a 12th Man Fan Jam 60-second rant.
You know you make me wanna
Rant.
I don't want to get off on a rant here.
I just cannot stand Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio. He represents everything that is wrong with journalism these days, as his posts on Pro Football Talk are short on facts and long on innuendo. He spends too little time actually reporting on issues, and far too much time telling you what he believes you should think about the issues. Just Google Florio and Redskins for proof of that. And worst of all, he doesn't like the Seahawks much either. He harped on the fail Mary for months, called Richard Sherman a cheap shot artist after one unnecessary roughness penalty, and now he's doing his best to gin up controversy about Russell Wilson's contract negotiations, writing 6 Wilson posts in the last 10 days speculating about how the Seahawks will portray Wilson as greedy, or how Wilson may leave to play baseball, or how the team may draft a quarterback to replace him. It's absurd. There are a lot of good writers at PFT, and if Florio ever leaves, there'll be room for one more. Here's hoping.
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Yes, welcome to the second quarter of a very special NFL draft episode of your 12th Man Fan Jam. This is your self-appointed Reverend Moses from the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity with our posse, Matt from merry old England, Shadowhawk Will from Washington, and another special guest from Washington, a gentleman by the name of Tom Lucas, who has been a long-time listener, first time on the show. And as we initiate everyone the first time on the show, we make Tom pay for the tab. But after he's done doing that, we also take some time and we get to know him. So the second quarter, we thought it'd be a good time to kind of talk to Tom, see who he is, see why the Seahawks, and why the attraction to the football team, just like the rest of us. What makes you a great Seahawk fan, as we all are. So, Tom, let's start with the basics. Tell us a little bit about yourself, as much as you want to tell us, and we'll go from there, Tom.
Yeah, I'll keep it PG.
Okay, that would be great.
Perfect. Yeah, born and raised in Pennsylvania back in the 70s. So during this Euler reign, saw Largent play his rookie season, and that was all she wrote. Even while the steel curtain was going on, I was rooting for the Hawks. I couldn't see many games, so I just kept up with them in the newspaper. Moved here, Washington, in 2000. Always wanted to live here. Seahawks helped, and here I am.
Fantastic. You know, that's very similar to me because you're born and raised in Indiana, and Largent was kind of what brought me into them as well. And I was kind of hooked the same way. And so now you're in Pennsylvania. Now, were you in the heart of Steel Country, or were you kind of
80 miles north of Pittsburgh?
Okay. Yeah. And then you moved to Seattle in 2000. What are some of your favorite Seahawk moments that not including the playoffs, because that's easy. You say, of course, when they win the Super Bowl, everyone loved that. But not including any playoff, not including any playoff games. What are some of your favorite Seahawk games or moments that were connected to playoffs?
I'd have to say my favorite moment when I can't remember who Largent decleated after that interception and recovered the fumble.
Dennis Smith? No, Atwater. It was Smith.
No, Mike Harden.
Mike Harden. Yeah.
Mike Harden. Yeah, that play just over and over in my head, man. That was just the best.
Yeah, it was an excellent one. I agree with that. What about the recent Seahawks? Who are a couple? Give me 2 or 3 guys that if you had to pick, and that's hard to do because I've tried this and I want to name 8 guys. But who are your right now on the team? Who's your favorite Seahawk on the team right now? If you had to pick one guy,
has to be Chancellor.
Chancellor.
Yeah.
Hard hitting. Yeah, well, they are all good choices, but yes, that's a very good choice. What about from the past? Give me a couple names besides Largent and Chancellor. Maybe some guys that, not Cortez, not Walter Jones. Let's go, non-Hall of Fame. Couple guys, not easily. I'm going to make it hard on you. Give me like 2 or 3 guys that you really liked growing up or watching play.
I like Lucas.
Ken Lucas?
Yeah, I thought he was a decent backfield. Even as Burleson gives us some, bad, says we're going to lose against playoff teams. I liked him.
Those are good picks. Ken Lucas and Nate Burleson. Nice picks there. So what are your thoughts on the team right now? And I mean, compared to the teams of the past, and how far do you think this team's going to go? For how long are we going to see this kind of winning coming out of this team right now?
I think if we can keep the core together, with the way Schneider and Pete are in the draft, we're gonna be a dynasty.
I don't disagree with that at all. Tell us a little bit about your fam there. I know you got a little munchkin there.
Oh yeah, my son Liam, born October 14th or August 14th. God, and my wife Suzanne. We've been married since October 27th of 2007.
Awesome. Your little munchkin's quite a little guy there.
Oh man, he's my heart and soul.
Oh, that's awesome.
Moses, can I ask a question, Moses?
Yeah. Yes, Matt. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Cheers. 12th Man Fan Jam, coming back to us, specifically me. What is your favourite Matt moment of the 12th Man Fan Jam so far over the last 2 years, as you are our biggest fan? I shall sit back and listen, thanks.
Anytime Moses puts you in your place.
Oh!
Oh.
Give him the $10, Moses. Give him the
Ding, ding, ding,
$10.
ding, 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 ding.
We like that. Good answer. Good answer. What is your favorite moment of the show? Let's do that. Give us a memory that you from the show that you're like, that was really awesome or funny or whatever.
Oh God, it's got to be the B-World experience.
God, I wish Dustin was here.
Yes, me too.
The B-Wald experience was fantastic. We
Coming
are going to
soon.
miss him. Oh my God, you're talking about the whole
Yeah.
commercial. Yeah, that
I
was
mean,
awesome.
the guy deserves a chance to start, and wish him the best.
Yeah, the B-Wald experience is kind of where it all happened, because I remember that's the first time we really heard from Tom, was when we mentioned the good old B-Wald experience, and Tom thought, we were kind of dissing him a little bit, which we kind of were, and that kind of brought a really good discussion on our 12th Man Fan Jam show page on Facebook. And it's kind of what Tom kind of brought you in, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
He told me off.
I think we should all get money together, and I think if we do, Tom should get a Walters jersey. I think we should get you a Walters jersey sometime. But
Well, like I said, he deserves to start wherever we're right now. He deserves the chance. He's been busting his butt for 5 years.
he does. He was a. Uh-oh.
And he ended up where? The Eagles.
I thought it was the Jaguars. Did he go to the Eagles?
It was his Jags. It was the Jags.
He was the Jaguars.
Even
Yeah.
Every other Seahawk went to the Eagles.
because the Eagles have got the Pope coming, so it's even worse.
Oh man!
Wow. Will, do you have any questions for Tom?
Well, Tom, how are you then?
Doing great. Well,
That's great, Tom. Hey, it's welcome. I'm glad your Patch is a finally. We've been trying to get you on the show for a while, and we finally had the opportunity tonight to get you on the show. So welcome to the show. You're fitting right in. You're doing a great job. But now comes halftime.
Holy shit! It's halftime.
uh-oh.
That
And
means
with
the organ.
halftime comes, that means one thing. That means a very special edition of 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia, where Will once again try to make it a 3-time straight win, with Matt and our newcomer Tom trying to keep it from happening. So stay tuned. You can play along with us as well right after this.
Hey, this is Matt, all the way from merry old England, and you're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia with your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity. Yes, thank you, me, and welcome to the rousing rendition of 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia, the game where you, the listener viewer, can play along with as well. Before we go through the rules, let's go through our contestants. First, from merry old England, his favorite hobbies include driving around in for Uber. He is Matt.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yes, he's also teaching me French, but we'll talk about that later. Next up, our challenger, our newcomer from Washington State. His favorite hobbies include listening to Rush. He is Tom. Hi, Tom.
Howdy.
Big
Hey,
Rush
everybody.
fan. Big Rush fan, are you not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you are. And last but not least, our defending champion, defending champion from the wonderful state of Washington as well. His favorite hobbies include watching Daredevil. He is Will Harrison.
Thank you.
All right. Well, now we've met the panel, let's go into the rules. So here's how the trivia game works. There will be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there will be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tied players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia Champion and gets to have a special 60-second rant between the first and second quarter of the very next episode of the 12th Man Fan Jam Show. As an added bonus to those listeners on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen, so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well if you wish. If you'd like to play along, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline for each of the contestants. Before the taping of this show, my two charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take this quiz. And if the contestants want to know what the kids said, they may ask that only once during the entire game show and only during the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia. All right, everybody knows the rules. Let's get started. 2 rounds of questions, 1 point each. 1 through 4, and we will start with Tom. Tom, what question would you like? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
3.
Tom takes 3. We will then ask Matt what question he would like.
2.
2. And Will, would you like 1 or 4?
I'll take 1.
Will will take 1. All right. 1, 2, and 3. Very good. All right. We start with Will. Are you ready, Will?
I guess so.
Get excited. Get excited, Will. Here we go. Your first question is this. How many draft picks in the Carroll era? Now, that means, obviously when Pete's drafted. How many draft picks in the Pete Carroll era have been from USC? 2, 3, or 4? Hey, Will! Guess what? Here's some Oregon, baby.
I knew that was coming.
How many draft picks in the Carroll era from USC? 2, 3, or 4?
I'm going to say 2.
He said 2. Little Mo and Mosette, they also said 2. And they're right! 2. Anthony McCoy and Malcolm Smith, if you're keeping score at home.
McCoy's the other one. I could only remember Smith, so...
Yeah, McCoy and Smith. Only 2, which is weird because USC connection, supposedly. All right. Question 2 goes to Matt. Matt, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. This also has to do with the Pete Carroll era of drafting. What position has the Pete Carroll era used the most draft picks on? Has it been the offensive line? Has it been the defensive line? Or has it been the defensive backfield? And just to help you, here's the Morgan!
Oh, well, hold on. We've had quite a few backs. Defensive backfield.
Defensive backfield. Mosette said defensive backfield as well. You're both wrong!
Oh.
12 picks on the defensive line.
Really?
Yeah. Now that's end and tackle. And that's also guys like Irvin, who was drafted as a defensive lineman, even though he wound up playing later. Linebacker. But I digress. Hi, Tom.
Howdy.
All right, Tom, here we go. Number 3. How many tight ends have the Carroll era Seahawks drafted? How many tight ends? Is it 2, 3, or 4? And here's some Oregon for you, buddy. How many tight ends in the Carroll era? 2, 3, or 4?
I'm going to go 3.
He goes with 3. Look. Shut up, lady. He goes with 3. Little Mo and Mosette also went with 3. And you're all right. Tom's on the board. This very exciting game of trivia is halfway done. And we stand with Will and Tom at 1 and Matt at 0. So, questions 5, 6, 7, and 8. We'll talk about the topic after you pick your questions. We will start with Tom.
Oh.
Tom, 5 through 8. What would you like?
6.
6. And then Will?
I'll take 5.
Will take 5. And Matt, 7 or 8?
7.
7. Okay. You guys go nice and sequential. The topic of the second round is where the hell's that?
We know it's hard for you to count, Moses. So
Yeah, it is. I've got an abacus here, so I'm ready.
After that nasty fall you had today, yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my God! Yeah, new adventure and pain on my leg, but that's all right. This round is called "Where the Hell's That?" So we will start.
Where the hell's what?
Where the hell's that? Will, are you ready?
Sure.
All right. Question 5. 2012 6th round pick Jeremy Lane is from Northwestern State University. Will, what state is Northwestern State University located? Is it in Idaho, South Carolina, or Louisiana? In other words, where the hell is that? Northwestern State University. Idaho, South Carolina, or Louisiana?
I'm going to say Louisiana.
Oh, okay. He says Louisiana. Little Mo said Idaho. And Mosette said South Carolina. And you said Louisiana. You're right.
Woohoo!
Crowd was a little tired there. They woke up. Will is perfect.
That Oregon's putting
2
them
for
to sleep.
2. Yes, it is. Well, you know.
What she said.
She's half asleep. Oh! Like it. Well done on that one. Okay. That now leaves us to question 6 with Tom. Tom, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, Tom, as I'm sure you're well aware, in 2012, the second and fourth round picks were Bobby Wagner and Robert Turbin. They both came from Utah State. And I'm not going to ask you what state, because obviously it's Utah. What city is Utah State located? Where the hell is Utah State? Is it Provo, Utah, Logan, Utah, or St. George, Utah? And just to help you, here's some Oregon.
Bismarck, North Dakota.
I think it's Provo.
Provo. Now remember, you could ask the kids anytime you want to. I should have brought that back up, but
I'm gonna need to do that. Don't worry.
Okay. So would you say Provo?
Yeah.
You said Provo. Little Mo said Provo, Utah, and Mosette said Logan. And the answer is actually it's Logan. Yeah, that's okay. You still got a point though. It's not like you're mad. Okay, Matt. Here we go.
I want to ask the kid. I want to ask the kids.
Okay. Well, let's do this first.
You got to hear the question first,
yeah.
Matt.
2011 fifth round pick Mark Legree is from Appalachian State. Where the hell is Appalachian State?
Oh man.
Now oh God, go on.
Is it Boone, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, or Taylorsville, North Carolina?
What does the kids say? Because the thing is, in my head, hold on, cut the music.
Shut up. Okay.
You said you was talking about North Carolina. Now, is that a squiggly state or a square line state? Because I can never remember. Because I knew. Yeah, it's a squiggly state on the right hand side, isn't it? Then.
What the hell have you been drinking?
No, it's true. You Americans got lazy. All your states on the right hand side are proper squiggly, they're drawn out as if they're like proper borders, and then the other side is all square lines and rulers. So I'm just working out what side of the planet, what side of the country it's on. That's all.
Wow.
You want to, instead of saying squiggly, if you just said, "Hey, what side of the country is it?" I could tell you that.
Okay, well, what side of the country is it?
I'm not telling you. No, it's on the east side. It's on the East Coast. It's on the East Coast. I could take because they're all in North Carolina. It's in North Carolina. It's on the East Coast. It's south of Virginia. It's and it's north. Now listen to this. It's North Carolina is north of South Carolina. Thank you. So the cities again, I will give you: Boone, North Carolina; Durham, North Carolina; Taylorsville, North Carolina.
Yeah, what do the kids say?
Mosette said Boone, North Carolina. And Little Mo said Taylorsville, North Carolina.
Oh, so we got a split in the kid. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm not good when this happens. It's good when this happens. Okay, well, I'll go with Boone. I don't even know where that is.
You'll go with Boone. You go with Mosette.
Yes.
You want Mosette? Good thing you got a point.
There we go.
Boone, North Carolina. And now we're about to head in. Yep, Mosette, he thanked you. I'll make sure she hears this so that she knows you thanked her. We're now going to go to the final question. Of course, that means that there is no more asking the kids. We're staying right now. Tom has a point, Matt has a point, and Will has a point. Now, what I'm going to change a little bit is I'm going to let the champion.
Will has two.
You got two. Yeah, Will has two. I've got Will with two, Matt with one, Tom with one. I'm going to let Will go first since he is the champion. Because last time we kind of had a discussion about that, and I agree. I think the champion should get first shot, and of course it's a numbers game. The closest without going over gets 2 points. If everyone goes over, the closest to the number will get the 2 points. And if there's a tie, we do have an overtime question for those people who would tie. Okay, here we go. We're going to start, of course, with Will, and the question for everybody is the same. Course, has to do with the Carroll era of Seahawk football. It has to do with drafting. And the question is this, Will, how many total draft picks have been made in the Carroll era of Seahawk football? How many total draft picks overall in the entire Pete Carroll, John Schneider era of Seahawk football have been made up to this point? So before this year's draft.
You know, it's funny because I had a feeling you were going to ask that at some point during the process.
Did you look it up?
I did not. I'm
Okay,
not
because you're not supposed to Google.
Okay, let's see. 37.
Will says 37. We now go to Tom.
41.
41, and we go to Matt.
42.
Bastard.
42. All right. The total number of picks in the Carroll era is 48. That means that from merry old England, reclaiming his
It
title,
sucker punched me.
God save the Queen, man.
God save
Matt
Queen.
is our champion once again in 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia.
Thank you.
It was 47.
Oh, my
right?
goodness.
48.
Oh, Matt.
48.
Matt, God save the Queen, baby.
God
What an
save me.
exciting episode. Yeah, we mean it, man.
We mean it, man.
All right.
That was actually-
Hey, that's the end of halftime. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back in the third quarter. We'll talk about the Seahawks schedule coming up this year. And we'll see how many wins we can get out of this team in 2015. And we'll be back right after this.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
The Seattle Seahawks select.
I never heard of most of them. Who are these f***ing guys?
Holy shit, it's the third quarter.
Yes, welcome back to the start of the second half of a very special NFL Draft edition of your 12th Man Fan Jam show. We just had an amazing halftime competition in our halftime trivia show where Matt once again reclaimed the title from Will and Tom, although they valiantly fought on. Matt came out the winner this time. Congratulations, Matt.
Oh, dear me. It's getting worse. Thanks.
I'm not. No one. Yeah, we're not going there. Okay, so let's talk about schedule, shall we?
Yes,
Third
let's.
quarter, we said we talk about schedule when we are. The schedule was unveiled earlier this week in front of a studio audience. I don't get that, but anyway, it was funny because I don't know about the rest of you, but once NFL Live, they were going to release it, right? And about 5 minutes before NFL Live, it came out on Facebook. And then I just turned NFL Live off. I didn't even care at that point. Okay, I've got the schedule. I'm done. But anyway, as you look at the schedule, Tom, what stands out to you of this schedule? You like it? You don't like it? What kind of stands out to you on this schedule?
I think the first half is going to be harder than the second half, for obvious reasons. Playing in Dallas and at Green Bay. Second half, I don't think. With our bye week in week 9, I think we can run the last half of the schedule without a problem.
Yeah, I can see that.
And playing Green Bay second week, I think we could. It's not going to be the frozen tundra. I think we have a better chance there at that point than we would late in the year. But in Dallas could be hard.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the first 2 road games. Will at the Rams, at the Packers. The Rams, we've talked on this show many times. The last couple years, the one teams that, if you look at the scores of the last 4 or 6 games, it's been the Rams, not the Cardinals, not the 49ers, but the Rams that have given us the biggest headaches. And we're starting the year at their house, and then we go to Green Bay. We could very well be 0-2, couldn't we, Will?
Well, I'm kind of wishing that our game at Green Bay wasn't a Sunday night game in the Packers home opener, because the tickets are going to cost me an arm and a leg. But getting back to the team, it's tough. The first couple weeks are going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the Rams always play us tough, and the Packers are going to be out for blood this time. I mean, it's not going to be pretty. But think we've got a good chance of winning both those games. I mean, the Rams, yeah, they have an impressive defensive line, but their offensive line is a complete shambles. Not really a huge fan of Nick Foles either, so I think we can get to him. I think we can shut down their offense and hopefully not get burned on special teams this year. And then the Packers, well, you got the two best teams in the conference going at it, and it's going to be a heck of a show. But I think the team that wins this has a huge early leg up going for the playoff run.
Just like last year, a lot of people said that. I thought, what's week one? You can't really say that a week one game is going to decide the NFC, but in a way, it really did because we had the home field advantage because of the head-to-head with the Packers. Matt, your thought on the schedule? Matt, before you talk, I used to always think, well, it's 8 road games, it's 8 home games. We already know who they're playing, so I always thought it was kind of overrated. But is there some value to this schedule? Is there some good and some bad scheduling-wise?
Look, I mean, I was on my Facebook, and I put quite clearly, I'm going to bed. The schedule will be the same in the morning when I wake up. I'm not excited about the schedule. I don't need a studio audience to tell me. I think it's just odd. The main thing for me was where the bye fell. That's what I was interested in because last year we had an early bye. I think it was week 4, week 5, something like that.
Something like
week 4, yeah.
Right at the beginning of the year, and it was like, oh my goodness, that's a long stretch to the end. Slap bang in the middle. Can't ask for more, can't ask for less. That's exactly where I hoped it was going to be. I'm also pleased that we're playing Green Bay early in the season. We're not playing them in the middle of November or December because the weather may be at least a little kinder to us than if we were playing in deepest, darkest December. So that's okay. But yeah, I think ultimately is always going to be 8 home and 8 away. We're not quite the same Seahawks we were a few years ago, where anywhere on the road was a loss, pretty much. To be honest, we're not there anymore. We have a better road efficiency than that. My only concern is whether or not, as you talked about briefly, the St. Louis Rams and playing them and Green Bay back to back is that we don't pick up too many early injuries from those two games. Hard teams, they fight hard, especially St. Louis. I mean, they do, they kick butt. Yeah. So we don't want early injuries if we can avoid them. If we get through those two, even if we are 0-2, if we get through those two relatively match fit, then I'm quite happy to see us carry on and pull that back. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good schedule. I don't think it's a particularly bad schedule. There's some tough matches in there. That's what we want to see, though, because I want to see them play good football. So yeah, good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love the fact that this team relishes the spotlight and relishes playing the best of the best, and they really seem to do that. And I love that about them because that's what you want from a winner, is to say, hey, give me your best teams, give me your toughest schedule. I think it's a pretty good schedule. I love the bye week at week 9, as you said, as opposed to week 4. I think that's right, literally in the middle of the schedule. It's perfect. I love the way the schedule ends: home against the Browns, home against the Rams, and at Arizona. Tom, five primetime games. Did you ever think in your life that would ever happen?
No, not. Well, after the last, once the Russell Wilson era started, I knew it was going to happen. We just had to figure out when.
Right. And
then, I don't know if you saw Burleson pick the wins and losses for us on NFL.
Right.
Yeah, he said we're going to lose with Green Bay, lose with Detroit, and lose with Dallas.
And go 13-3 though?
Yeah, but
he
thought Detroit would beat us at home.
No.
No.
No, I don't think Detroit, especially at a prime time.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
No,
I don't think prime time. Will, are you excited about the 5 prime time games on the schedule for the Seahawks?
I am, and honestly, I think there's a decent possibility that we could end up with 6, since our last game is at Arizona. If the Cardinals and Seahawks are fighting for the division title, that's a definite candidate to get flexed to Sunday night. But it's going to be fun. I like the. I was a little upset last year that we only had the home opener primetime game because that was the one they had to give us. It's kind of nice that they're giving us a couple more this time around.
I agree. You don't think the Browns game will get flexed later?
No.
Okay. So, Matt, knowing what we know now, the draft is going to be coming up. We're going to talk about the draft next quarter. When you look at this schedule, you see how many losses? I know it's hard to say because we still got to draft people. We still got to do things. But what do you see this team doing as compared to 12-4 last year? Do you think this is a schedule that's going to give them a better record, 12-4, a worse record, or about the same? Or I know it's hard to say right now.
Goodness gracious. I think, well, look, there's three, for me, there's always this, I can see three potential difficult games, let's put it that way. The one is the home opener, the home opener, the opening game of the season at St. Louis. I think that's going to be difficult. Normally is for us. We have a little trip over, maybe. I think Dallas Cowboys and I think Green Bay. Those are the three to me which are going to be most difficult. So yeah, take your thing out of there. It's so difficult to tell. Injuries will have a big part to play with how we, early injuries, as I say, in the season could really affect us. So I'd say those are the three games that I think will be most nail biters for us.
Well, let's ask it this way, Tom. 12-4 last year. You look at the schedule. We still have a draft. We still have camp. We still have all that stuff. We don't make our predictions on this show record-wise until right before the opener. But do you feel optimistic when you see the schedule and you think of 12-4, or do you think pessimistic?
Oh, definitely optimistic. I think we're gonna beat that record easily.
All right, excellent, love it. Will, what do you got about the schedule?
Well, like Matt said, anything can happen, and it probably will. But I think one thing we've got going in our favor this year is we don't have the Percy Harvin time bomb just waiting to explode. And
I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, looking back at those early season games, especially the Cowboys loss, you just knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And it really set this team back. The draft picks we squandered on him, the money we squandered on him.
Sure.
But that's done.
Right.
We've got 11 picks coming up. We've got cap room. We don't have a malcontent on the roster. And I think Jimmy Graham is going to give us this year what we thought Percy Harvin was going to give us last year.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We got that red zone.
Absolutely. And I think last year you talked about that little error. That would have been the Cowboys and the Rams games. The two losses that you take those away were 12-2. And, after they got, I remember saying we're going to run the table after the Chiefs game. And we did. The Seahawks ran the table. I had nothing to do with it. But I said, hey, the Seahawks are going to run the table. And they did. And you saw how good they were. And I think if we can come out, strong and, like you said, without this Harvin thing, it could be better than 12-4. So we'll have to see. But before we do that, we got to get through a little thing next week called the NFL Draft.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
Yay! Woohoo!
And that's what we're going to talk about at the start of the fourth and final quarter here. Stay tuned, because in between the third and fourth quarter, you're hearing a very special 60-second interview with Moses as he interviews John Gruden. So listen to the 60-second interview in between the quarters, and when the interview's over, we'll start the fourth quarter, and we'll be back in the fourth quarter talking about the NFL Draft coming up.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. And now it's time for a 60-second interview with Moses.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here with former Oakland Raider and Tampa Bay Buccaneer head coach John Gruden. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Gruden. How are you?
Doing good. Good to see you again.
I don't think we've ever met, but...
Well, you never know.
Okay, so, Mr. Gruden, tell us, can we ask you about your own draft strategy?
And that'd be a heck of a start.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I kind of do agree. I mean, what kind of important questions did you ask prospective draft picks when you were head coach?
You ever heard of the Rolling Stones? You like to listen to classic rock? You like that chandelier? What do you say to all this?
I have no idea.
Huh? Aren't you like this?
Not quite the questions I expected to hear from you.
I'm trying to tick you off, man. I'm trying to get under your skin.
Why?
You yodel?
What?
You yodel?
Do I yodel? No, I don't.
Why won't we?
Yodel?
No, I don't want to. Hey, get off that chair.
Look how much taller I am than Russell Wilson.
Get off there, Gruden. Well, look, we're running out of time here, okay? No, don't. Oh, God, don't yodel, please. Look, oh, my God. Okay, this has been a 60-second interview with John Gruden. Hey, get off. Okay, this interview's over. Hey, get off this stupid thing. Don't yodel. Knock it off. It's disgusting. I hate yodeling. Get him out of here.
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk, positivity.
Yes, welcome back to the fourth and final quarter of episode 304 of the 12th Man Fan Jam, very special NFL Draft Edition 2015. I am your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, alongside this show's posse, which is Matt from merry old England, Tom Lucas from Washington, and Shadowhawk Will from Washington. We're going to talk about the draft this quarter. We're going to talk about the NFL draft that is coming up as we're recording about a week from now. So, as we look at the draft, Tom, this team is 12-4. They won a Super Bowl. They lost the Super Bowl. They're young everywhere. They've had some losses. What do you see is the biggest need on draft day, Tom?
Definitely offensive line.
Okay.
Because our run, they were okay with the run. Pass, we can't have Russell running for his life all the time. I mean, he makes good things happen, but that's a good way to get him hurt too.
I agree. And, he's good at on the run, but I don't like him to be on the run as much as he is. That's the truth.
Yeah. And we also need some good run stoppers in the middle on the defensive line, I think.
Good. And Matt, it's funny because we talk about this team, and they've been so great for 3-4 years, or 3 years especially. But there's still a lot of need out there, isn't there, Matt?
Absolutely. Look, this is not one of those teams which is sort of standing still. It's got to keep going forward and getting talent. Can I just premise everything I'm going to say about the draft with this statement? I know absolutely nothing really about the draft. I don't look at it. I don't follow the combines and all the stuff to see the player. I don't do any of that, because every time there's ever been a draft that I've sat up until Christ knows what time in the morning to watch, I've sat there as soon as they've said, and the Seattle Seahawks pick, and the first word out of my mouth is, who? So look, I know nothing about what we're going to draft, and I think neither does anyone else apart from the two that do need to know, which is Schneider and Carroll. I think I have to agree entirely with Tom. I think for me, I want to be able to put some protection around Russell now to give him a chance to get the ball out, to throw it out to Graham, to throw it out to Baldwin, to get it out there, rather than constantly having to rely on the run. We know Marshawn's back is not 100%. We know that. We know he's back, but we know his back's not 100%. And because of that, I think we have to try and start to shift the team away from just having a constant run and have some protection for him. So I want line. I want them as offensive as possible. I want them spitting and cursing and doing everything that they need to do. But I want an offensive line is what I want.
All right. Very good. Tom, there was a time that I used to get draft magazines, and I'd set up my draft, and I'd set up the players I wanted on this team, and I really got into it. And the last couple of years, I've kind of stopped doing that as much, and I think the reason is I think it's because of the people drafting that I don't feel like I have to second guess them. Like, they're going to get who they're supposed to get, so why should I even bother, Tom? Do you feel kind of a little bit?
Yeah, it's not like it was before Holmgren, where you're going, what the hell were you thinking?
Right.
I don't think there's some that didn't quite go so well. But we've had a lot more hits than misses with Schneider and Carroll.
I absolutely agree. Go ahead, Matt.
Moses, one of the best things about draft for me is seeing what our draft grade is given to us by the pundits and everything at the end of that, and then looking at it in a year's time after that. Yeah, and saying, "Oh goodness, yeah, they gave us a D, and we've won another Super Bowl." It's all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's the best bit about draft for me.
And if you go back to them now, they've actually changed them to A.
Yeah. I love they've now premised the 2012 draft by saying, "Oh well, in order to really assess a draft, you've got to give it 3 years to bed in." Then why make the prediction? To be frankly honest, it's all a bit pointless. The other best bit about draft day for me, though, is hearing Roger Goodell get booed every time he walks out on stage. So that's also a perfect thing for me.
That is beautiful. And as much as I agree with you all, and I do, I mean, no one knows who they're going to pick. It is still fun to make up a mock draft for your favorite team, right, Will? A little bit?
Well, Moses, I got to tell you, I've done a mock draft for SeahawkSell.com every year, well, since before Carroll and Schneider got here, but I've been doing it every year that they've been running things. And to date, I have not gotten a single pick right.
Oh!
Although there have been a couple people that actually turned out to be pretty good, and I kind of wished we'd picked them, but no, I haven't guessed right. But I still go for it.
It's fun to do, isn't it, Will? I mean, it's fun. You just throw your names out and you say, this guy would fit good in the team and just see what happens, right?
Well, I love the draft. I mean, I take a couple days off from work. I do the mock draft. I do the review. I watch the whole thing. I'm kind of sick and twisted that way.
Nothing sick and twisted. In fact, as Will mentioned, he did do a mock draft for SeahawksStyle.com, and I have that mock draft here, and so does he. And I also, Will, I did a mock draft of my own as well. I gave the
You
Seahawks.
didn't.
I did, and I like to do it for fun as well. But let's have a little. Since Will and I did this mock draft, what we're going to do here on the 12th Man Fan Jam, we're going to have the dueling mock drafts. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over Will's list first. Will's going to say who he drafted when, and just real briefly say why he thinks this would be a good fit for the Seahawks. And then I'll tell you my picks. And then what we'll do is we'll see what happens. If somebody on our list, on our starting list, not this, Will's got 2 or 3, also good picks. No. Has to be the guy you picked. If they make the team, if they get drafted on the team, and this includes undrafted free agents, if they are invited to camp or if they're drafted, you get 3 points. If they draft them where you say they draft them, you get 6 points. And then if anybody has any points, which highly unlikely, but
what happens if we tie at 0?
If it's 0-0, nothing happens. However, Will, if one of us has more points than the other, then the winner gets to write a 60-second rant for the loser. And the loser has to read word for word whatever the winner put on the paper for him to read.
Oh.
So,
you're on.
All right. Will,
bring it.
This is your mock draft on the board. Go ahead and talk about your picks.
Okay. Second round. Obviously, offensive line is our first need, but we brought in a lot of D linemen, both free agents and rookies for visits, and I can't shake the feeling that we're going to go D line with our first pick. I chose Mario Edwards Jr., defensive tackle, defensive end from Florida State. Versatile kid, pretty good pass rusher. Definitely room to grow and get even better. You can never have too many pass rushers, as we saw in the Super Bowl after Cliff Averill got hurt. So I think we're going to add another one right off the bat.
Good point.
Third round, Ty Simbrelo, offensive lineman, Colorado State. Can play all 5 offensive line positions. He visited the team. The Seahawks put him through a workout and worked him out at center, I might add. So possible replacement there. Okay, fourth round, first pick, Mike Davis, running back out of South Carolina. Guy hits like a bowling ball. He's got enough speed to run away from people. He's no Marshawn Lynch, but he's the closest thing in this year's draft. If he's available, I think we're going to get him. Bye-bye, Kristen Michael. Second pick in the fourth round, Chris Conley, wide receiver out of Georgia. They ran a run-first offense, so he didn't put up the numbers, but he's 6'2" and ran a 4.35 40 at the combine. High character player, believes he can do anything he puts his mind to, so it'd be a great addition. Going back to the offensive line with the third and final pick in the fourth round, I got Mark Glowinski, a guard out of West Virginia. Very instinctive, got the work ethic, 6'4", 307 pounds, and loves to hit people.
Don't we all?
Well, yes. Okay. Yeah. First pick in the fifth round, I got Jamison Crowder, wide receiver, kick returner out of Duke. Small kid. If he gets much time on offense, is going to be in the slot, but he can return kicks, he can return punts, and with the B-Walt experience out no longer in town, we need somebody to replace him.
Sounds like Dustin's favorite player already. Go ahead.
Yep.
I think so. Yeah. Second pick in the fifth round, I've got Kyle Emanuel, defensive end / outside linebacker, North Dakota State. Had 19 and a half sacks as a senior, granted at a FCS level school, but had 10 sacks and 16 and a half tackles for loss in 8 games against top 25 opponents in his college career. So he brought it against the big boys too. First pick in the sixth round, I got Trey Walker, cornerback out of Texas Southern. Tall, lanky kid who can play press coverage. Doesn't have the top end speed, so he'd need help over the top of the defense, but that's what Earl Thomas is for. Next pick in the sixth round, I got Robert Myers, a guard out of Tennessee State. He's more of a project, but he's probably the most technically sound offensive lineman available on the third day. But Give him a year, might develop into a pretty good guard. Last pick in the 6th round, Brian Blecken, strong safety out of Utah. Yes, rhymes with reckon.
Blecken.
He's a kid who, from what I've read about him, kind of reminds me a lot of Cam Chancellor his first couple years. He's an in-the-box safety. He's not going to be a top cover guy, deep cover guy, but he hits people. Put him in the box and let him have fun. And then the last pick of the draft kind of said, what the hell? Went for Connor Halliday, quarterback, Washington State. No, this will not be the heir apparent to Russell Wilson, but after we re-sign Tavares Jackson or another veteran backup, Halliday and B.J. Daniels can fight it out for the third quarterback spot.
And that's your draft. That's your mock draft.
That's my draft.
That's wonderful, and I got to tell you that the kids appreciate it, and I do too. We're gonna well done on your draft. However, Will, you're an ignorant slut. You see, I have my own draft, and I've been sitting here this last 5 minutes trying to figure out how to pronounce my first guy. But here we go.
Cronus Grasu, I presume.
In the second round, I'm going with Oamagmi Ikehusua.
Oh, beautifully done. Even with a French accent, it's not even French. It's amazing.
Defensive end of UCLA. Because, let's face it, I want to see that on the back of a jersey. Odehizua, that poor guy. Buy a consonant or two. But anyway, I just want to see it on the back of a jersey.
Couldn't even spell Holmgren and Hasselbeck right.
I know.
Can't imagine.
Oh, no, I was going to say, that's worse than Hushman Zada.
It's a lot worse.
All you got to say is, Ajijua, I kid you not. That's what you got to say.
Oh, dear.
My third round pick is funny because you just mentioned him, and I don't know how to pronounce it. Haranas Grazu?
Yep. Well, close enough.
Haranas Grazu, center from Oregon, same thing. I think that him and Owa Magbe should be roommates, in fact. I mean, that would be a great pair.
That's not a name. That's a bad Scrabble hand.
Yeah, it really is. Fourth round, I'm going with Haloi Nakaha, because his name means no worries. So I'm excited to have him on the team. Offensive lineman.
I see where his draft is going.
Yeah, outside linebacker watched it. You can tell the deep studying and research I did for this. Okay. Another fourth round pick, Jaquiski Tart. That's right, Tart with two T's. Tartt. Because Jaquiski sounds like something you'll be drinking, and Tart sounds like the kind of whiskey you'll have. Strong safety from Stanford, like that even matters. He plays safety. Okay. The last fourth round pick, I have a guy by the name of Danielle Hunter, because we already have Christine Michael. So why not have Danielle Hunter on the team as well? And the two girls can room together, and it'll be awesome.
Well, if you're a guy named Danielle, you got to learn how to run fast and hit people. So that's probably a good pick.
As a defensive end, I think he'll be great. The fifth round is Xavier Dixon. Now, that sounds normal, but when you look at Xavier's first name, they spell it Xavier. They want to make sure you say Xavier Dixon.
Yeah.
So Xavier, anyone who has an X and a Z in their name, first name, I want that guy on my team. The next fifth round pick is a tight end from Penn State named Jesse James. Now, if you had to ask why I want Jesse James on my team, come on, look up your history books. That's awesome. Jesse James, can you imagine? Yeehaw, Jesse James in the NFC West. That's just that.
Daddy's going to start building motorcycles.
Oh my God! I know. And beating up Sandra Bullock, but we won't go there. I just did. Another first sixth round pick I have is a defensive tackle from TCU named Chucky Hunter. I just think he's probably this big, huge guy with the name Chucky. And
so you think Chucky will get lucky?
Overalls, and red hair.
Yeah, can you imagine? Come on, Chucky, you got him, Chucky. Go get him, Chucky. And then another sixth round pick, Teo Fubuluje, offensive guard from TCU. And if you have to ask, Teo Fubaluje, block and beast mode run. See how it fits? It's beautiful, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Oh my word!
Oh my
the
God,
word painful actually came to mind. That word.
I was thinking that myself.
I I have to hope and pray that Moses wins this competition.
I know.
Because the amount of thought and effort that went into Will's picks are clearly considered and understood positions.
The same thought occurred to me that he's picking these just for the names, and he's probably going to get
This is
4 or 5
amazing.
of them.
If he gets these and wins this
If he
point,
gets
it
one,
just
I'll be
shows
amazed.
you.
If
it just
anybody-
shows you nobody should be guessing this draft.
If anybody listens to this show at this point, has any kind of connection to the War Room, you got to get this list to them and say, look, just don't draft them. Just invite them to camp. Just invite one of these guys to camp so Moses can win, because I agree with you. That'd be awesome. We're still in the 6th round. Another 6th round pick, defensive back from Rice, a guy named Bryce Callahan. Because, what about the rights of those players that catch that ball, Callahan? From.
Oh my god!
Come on, punk. Do you feel lucky? Well, do
Plus,
you?
I got my hip waders.
Plus, you also have the Bryce from Rice thing going.
Oh, yes, Bryce from Rice. He's so nice. And then, what self-respecting sports fan from Seattle, which I'm not, but what self-respecting sports fan from Seattle could possibly go through this draft in the 7th round, not pick a guy named Gus Johnson? Hello? Gus Johnson. The point guard for the best Seattle Supersonic team ever. And how can you not have Gus Johnson on the Seahawks? I mean, that is just awesome. He's a running back from Stephen F. Austin. That's fine, too. But I like his name, Gus Johnson. Hey, Gus Johnson's on the Seahawks. Oh, yeah, he was on the Supersonics 30 years ago. I know, isn't that great? That's awesome. So that's my draft.
Wow.
I've got some other...
caffeine. No more caffeine for Moses.
I would love... by the way, I have some other...
I think he's on speedballs right now.
I was saying, that's not caffeine.
I would love for the Seahawks. They're not going to get a chance, but if they could draft Michael Bennett, we could have Michael Bennett line up next to Michael Bennett.
Michael Bennett.
That would be awesome.
Can you imagine
it's not
Raybould?
Impossible, Moses.
Can you imagine Raybould and Moon trying to get that Bennett with Bennett and Malcolm and Bennett? It's gonna be.
Oh God. And you put Michael Bennett on the back of your jersey, doesn't matter because you're both Michael Bennett. Oh my God, that would be awesome. And then there's a guy named Junior Salt, which, if she has a sister named Veruca, that would be awesome. And then finally, a defensive tackle. And these are just afterthoughts. These don't count. But these guys almost got drafted by me. There was a defensive tackle from Montana named Tonga Takai, which I know. Tonga, pawn in Game of Life. Can't you see Tonga hit quarterback, Tonga, he had 5 sacks yesterday. How'd the game go? Me hit quarterback, him fall down. I mean, you can see her Tonga Takai. Yeah. So, there's the bet, Will. I hope my guys, at least one of them gets invited. Wouldn't that be great if one of my guys got invited? And Will, who put all this time and effort, got nothing.
I'm used to it.
Yeah. Speaking of nothing, we are now sadly about to run out of time, and it looks like it's time to bring another wonderful and amazing 12th Man Jam to a sad close. We're so glad you decided to waste some time with us. It was, as usual, a show that raised the bar here at the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, and we certainly hope you laughed a little, and maybe, just maybe, you learned a little something along the way. And what did we learn on this show? Well, we learned that Chip Kelly is not insane. We learned that crazy people can have plans too. We learned the NFL has some clout. We learned that Matt thinks we have squiggly states. And finally, Will taught us that Kyle brought it against the big boys, whatever the hell that means. So, on behalf of my partner in crime from Merry Old England, Matt, our newshound, Shadowhawk Will, and our very special guest, Tom Lucas, as the Beaver, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity saying, enjoy the draft and go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
As a suicidal could find.